Hello, welcome to Aussie Rush. It's Lizu here. I get a lot of questions from you guys about polymer clay, so instead of a Q&A format, I thought a video covering the whole process of making polymer clay creation would be best for beginners. This is like a polymer clay 101 crash course where I will cover the steps that I personally take. So the things that I do in this video are not the only way on how things can be done. It's just my way. Let's talk about different brands of polymer clay first. As you can see here, I only have 3 brands of polymer clay. There are many others out there like Fimo, Cernit, Kato, Duke, and there are probably like a couple more that I don't really use myself. I only use these 3 because they are available at where I live. I live in the US, so I get these at Michael's. Or you can try Hobby Lobby, AC Moore, or even online store like Etsy, Amazon, and a couple more out there. So you do have to do some research on your own and see what polymer clay or what kinds of other clay that are available at where you live, and see if you can find your local art and craft stores that sell the clay. There are many different types of clay that I'm not going to get into in this video. There are like air dry clay, paper clay, and cold porcelain that you can try if you don't have polymer clay. Polymer clay is oven baked clay that you have to bake them in order for the creations to harden. The instructions are all on the package. So the 3 brands that I have been working with are Craft Smart, Scoby 3, and Primo Scoby. So when I got into polymer clay, I used this Craft Smart because it's inexpensive and it's great to practice with. This costs about $1.50. I also used Scoby 3 because of the colors that it has. This Craft Smart brand has a good range of colors, but it has more range of colors that you can work with, and that's the only good thing about this brand. The clay is very brittle after baking. It cracks, it breaks, so it will break your heart. This is my favorite polymer clay because it's not too soft, it's not too hard, it's great to work with and make detail creations with this. But sometimes you do have to mix different brands of polymer clay to get the color that you need. So to learn more about different brands of polymer clay, I have a link to our website that I found really helpful and informative, which is at this. The link to the website is down below. So make sure to take a look and be informed about different brands out there. Once you have the clay, you will need some tools. This jar has the ones that I use most often, but you don't need all these to start making something with polymer clay. You can use toothpicks, toothbrush, pen, and other stuff that you have already at home. But I will show you the tools that I use most often, which are pretty much all these. So here are the ball tools and the dotting tools. These are great to use and they're very useful. I pretty much use them for all my creations, and you can probably tell which ones I use the most because of how dirty this one is. Look at this. I should have cleaned this up. I get these at AliExpress because they are very cheap. These are from China, so they do take a while to get to where I live. It's about like a month. But this I got for like a dollar something. This one was like $3 something, so it was a great deal. But you can also try eBay. Usually eBay, they also ship from China, so you do have to find which ones that you prefer. But other sites like Amazon, Etsy, they also have these, so you do have to search and see where you can get these. Okay, so the next one is this pointy or needle tool. You can actually use a toothpick instead of this. So next are these silicone shapers. They are great for blending, and you can also use these for painting. The ones that I use most often are these 2. This is like the round one and the flat one. These are very helpful for blending the clay together. And here I have this rolling pin to roll out the clay. There's also a pasta machine that looks like this that you can get at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. It costs about $20. For cutting clay, I use this flat blade that I got from Michael's. It's pretty long lasting, and this is great for cutting straight edges and a large piece of clay. But for small pieces, I use this X-Acto knife that I got from Blake Art Store. You can pretty much find this at any art and craft stores or even online. So this next material is pretty important, which is used for work surface. A lot of you guys are concerned about what surface to work on because Polymer clay is pretty picky. I personally use this tile that I got from Home Depot for $1 or $2, I don't remember, but it was pretty cheap. And this will last for quite a long time unless I drop it and break it. Tile is great to work because it has smooth surface and it's easy to clean. And the clay doesn't stick to the surface, which is awesome. When you're making clay charms, it's good to have some fun things like lobster clasp, jump rings, key rings, head pins, earring post, earring stop. It really depends on what you're making. So you can collect these fun things over time as you make stuff. Additional material to have is the acrylic pins. They are great to use when like painting text or draw facial features, especially with this Draw Cute Chicas bib. I use paint to paint the text on instead of making it out of clay because that can drive you insane. There are several different brands of acrylic paint out there, and the cheapest one is this Craft Smart, which is about like $1 per bottle, which is very affordable, and it will last a pretty long time. If the clay dries up and it's very difficult to work with, it's good to have a clay softener, or you can use baby oil, which does the same thing. I got this one at Michael's, and it's quite expensive, so you should like look out for coupons. But baby oil does the same thing. All you have to do is to have a few drops. So it comes with a cap. So you just have to like have a few drops on the clay and blend the clay softener into the clay. So that way the clay will become soft again. So it won't be too hard. So another material that is great to have is either baking bound or translucent liquid scoby. Both are liquid clay, which you do have to bake them in order for them to dry and harden. So for me, I bought this baking bound way before TLS, but I do recommend just getting the TLS one because there is more usage for this. For baking bound, it's pretty much kind of like glue, but for clay, so you just have to apply some on the area that will break very easily, like this Pikachu Batman. So I just apply it to the joint, and then you just have to glue these two pieces together, and after you bake it, it will harden, which has a stronger bound. TLS, you can actually make more stuff with this, and it's translucent, so when you bake it, it becomes clear, which is pretty cool. So I would recommend just getting this because this can act like glue also. This is my working space where I do my Polymer clay stuff and art. It's good to have a space that you can just do art because everything you have is laid out and organized. This is just a corner in my own bedroom, so on the other side is my bed. So many of you guys are concerned about dust particles on the clay, and before you touch the clay or even make anything with Polymer clay, it's best to wash your hands first with soap, and after that I like to apply the hand cream just to make my hand less dry. Even though you have washed your hands, there are still dust particles. So what I like to do is have a leftover clay or scrap clay and roll your palm with it like this. This way the clay will pick up the dust particles, so once you use the clean clay, there won't be as much dust particles on it. This is pretty much all the scrap clay that I have. But if you don't have this, you can also use tape. So have some tape, and then you just have to roll it in between your palms. So take some of the tape, and then you can roll it up if you want, like this, and then you can just roll it. So this way it will pick up the dust particles, and as you can see, it's pretty dirty. So after you have cleaned your hands and start making stuff, but over time you will see that there are still dust particles on the clay, especially with the white clay, which is more visible. And how to clean those dust particles that are on the clay is to use rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. You can use this, or you can use a brush. So after you are done making something with the Polymer clay, and you will see that some of the colors, like red color clay, will stain your hands and it's hard to get rid of. You can use paper towel to kind of like clean the color off, but usually when you just use soap and water, it doesn't come off completely. And what I like to use is this disinfecting wipes. This cleans very well. When you use this disinfecting wipes, it's better to apply hand cream again so that it won't over dry your skin. But you can also use baby wipes, which is very gentle. So after you have finished making a creation with Polymer clay, it's time to bake it. Polymer clay is oven baked, so you do have to bake the clay in order for it to harden and for long lasting. I use a convection oven that you see here. This is just for baking Polymer clay, which I highly recommend, but you can use home oven if you are just starting out, which is inexpensive. You should have that oven at your house already. I made a video on baking Polymer clay before, so for detailed instructions on how to bake the Polymer clay, watch that video here. Right here. Link is in description box also, so check that out. After you have finished baking, you might want to glaze your creations like this Batman Pikachu. As you can see, there is a bit of shine, but if you don't, it usually will look like this. So the next question would be what gloss to use. When I first got into Polymer clay, a lot of people suggested using triple thick, and I found this in Michael's. So I got it for about $2.50, I think. So these two are the very first creations that I've made around 2 years ago, and I thought this triple thick was pretty good, but over time it got sticky, and now this charm picked up a lot of dust particles and dirt, so it became pretty dirty. This one too, so I didn't like about that. Then I saw Cool Rice Bunny's video. She recommended this crystal clear polyurethane gloss, and I got this on Amazon for about $15 to $16, and this lasts for quite a long time. So, and I really love this gloss. It's very watery and it doesn't get sticky over time. However, this gloss comes with this type of can, which is a bit inconvenient because if you don't close the lid tightly, the gloss will dry up. But if you close it tightly, it's a bit difficult to open up again. So I just pour this whole thing into this container. So I've been using this for quite some time now, and it lasts a really long time. So I highly recommend this one. But you do have to get it on Amazon. If not, you can try your hardware store. Okay, so the next question would be how to apply the gloss on. I like to use this flat brush, but you can use a round brush if you want to. Depends on what you like. And so you can just like dip your brush in. So dip your brush in the gloss and then just apply on the charm. Or you can dip this whole thing inside the gloss if you want to, but I don't like to do that because I feel like you will waste a lot of gloss that way. But you can always, after you dip it in, you can always like, you know, brush the extra gloss away. So after you have finished glazing, it's very important to wash your brush. You should apply some soap to it and then rinse the rest of the gloss off the brush, or else if you don't clean it, the gloss will dry and then the brush is pretty much dead. So you have to throw this brush away if that happens. And I'll usually like to have a cup of water and then just kind of like rinse it first, but then I still go to the restroom and use some soap on the brush, then wash it off. So this way you will last the brush a bit longer. The next question would be how to dry your glazed Polymer clay charm. If you insert an eye pin like this, then it's best to use a paper clip. For this paper clip hook, I just kind of like wired it and then and just open it up. That way I can have it as a hook and then just insert the eye pin that way. And then I will just hook this to a rack. This is for my convection oven, and then I just use something to support, which is like to hold this rack up like this. and then you can just hook the other end of the paper clip like that, so that way you can let the glaze dry. If you use a 2 inches long head pen like this one, or like the Pikachu video over here, after you have glazed it, the best way to hold the charm up when drying is to use this foam, or you can use anything that can hold the charm up. So I would just normally just stick it to this and then let the charm dry. If you don't have that, you can use scrap piece of clay and poke it through and then let the charm dry. So this works. For this Pikachu, I applied 2 coats and this is how it looks like. So after you have finished making the charms and it's all glazed, where do you store them? If you don't wear them or don't use them, I usually store them in this container where I can see through it, which is this one. But you can also use this container, which I got from Target in the US, and I just like store it in a Ziploc bag. So this way you can also organize the charms that you have. Pretty much anything, any container would do. So after you have finished making the creations for the day, you have to store the clay, right? So for the open clay, I like to store them in this clear zip bag because it's easier. When I start making stuff, I just kind of like spread all of these out on the table and then just grab the colors that I need. So it's very convenient. However, for the unopened block of new clay, I store them in this storage. If you're wondering where I got these storage, I got them at Walmart. For these clear plastic zip bag, you can find them at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Usually art and craft stores should have these. If not, you can always look them online. But you can use Ziploc bags for food. That also works. I hope I have answered your questions, but if you still have more, ask them in the comment section and I will answer them. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this video is helpful to get you started with Polymer clay. And remember to keep crafting, and I will see you later. Bye! So let me show you how my table looks like after this video. I actually took multiple takes for this one because I just don't know how to talk, and whenever I talk for a really long time I lose voice. My vocal cord, it starts to hurt, so I'm just gonna go rest.